Well, we're pretty excited today to have with us these two fine gentlemen from SquareOne. These are the co-founders of SquareOne. This is Jamie and Jovan. If you're thinking Square what, you will know all about it by the end of it and be totally convinced, I'm sure. Look, lovely to have you with us, guys. Maybe you can tell us what am I talking about? What are we talking about here? What is SquareOne?
Yeah, good question. Thanks for having us, Gareth. So SquareOne, really, our purpose is around enabling financial well-being for our next generation. Jamie has 3 kids, I've got 2, and they're all between the ages of 6 and 11 now. And we're looking at how do we get them up and running with pocket money, with their first bank account, things like that, and finding that New Zealand was really lacking. And that's something that goes back to our own childhoods as well, through school, whether it's school parents. There's not really many tools out there. It's not something that's in the curriculum, so we set out to build a solution, and that's SquareOne, which is you can think of it as a My First account for your kids essentially. So it's a parent and child-facing app connected to a card for the kids that parents control by app.
Okay, so it's not something where it's on a device and you let the kids rip. This is very much something, by the sounds of it, that a couple of Kiwi dads have made to help mums and dads, solo mums, solo dads, all sorts of variations of families, whatever they might be, to help the young ones learn with the help of or the tutelage of those older ones. Would that be right?
Yeah, completely. So, from a parent's point of view, it's solving the problem that. Well, a couple of things, certainly for us, we don't really carry cash these days, so trying to teach our kids about getting their money, making sure that they get it regularly, that they know what to do with it, and then having the control on how they spend it. So rather than it just being a here's some cash and they can spend it anywhere, or if they've got their own bank account, not really seeing where they're spending on their card, the parent can actually see all the transactions that they're spending. They can set limits, they can control where they're spending. And then from the kids' side, if they've got their own device, or even if they haven't, they can look at it through the parents' phone. They get 3 distinct areas around earning money, spending money, and saving money. And it's really for them, allowing them to kind of connect the dots around, okay, where's the money coming from? How do I earn it? How much of that should I then spend? And how much should I save? And they can set up unlimited pockets within the app to save for different goals. So rather than kind of seeing mum and dad going around and just tapping this, what looks like a kind of a magic wand, going around the shops, this endless supply of money that they just tap, tap, tap. It's actually allowing them to see, okay, I can see my own money, I can see where it goes when I spend it, and I can kind of appreciate the value of it and how long it takes to save up, and kind of getting that real rewarding feeling of actually saving up for something yourself and then going out and being able to buy it on your card.
Actually, it's a good point, because I think, thinking back to the dim mists of time when I was, a kid, that it wasn't really until probably got my first paper round, then you start to realise I did all this and that's all I got, and then later delivering like a paper more like sort of in the Herald type era, that was like, wow, $20 for the week, wow, look how much tax they took out. It's not till then you start to sort of realise this money does not, appear out of thin air. So really, this, I guess, trying to help young minds, which are usually the most switched on, grasp some of these concepts a bit earlier, give them a little bit of a head start. Would that be?
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting, you note that kind of the tangibility that you experienced with receiving cash and then spending cash and seeing your physical pile of money build up and diminish, and that we've had that some form of physical medium of exchange to represent a store of value. It has been a universal thing for since time immemorial. It long predates kind of physical printing, cash and coins. There's been some physical medium of exchange, right? And suddenly, in the course of really just about one generation, that has just been switched off, and now everything has been abstracted by one layer. Much more of a challenge, I think, to grasp things when they've been abstracted a little bit like that. More challenging for kids to grasp it, more challenging for parents to teach it. Schools, haven't schools and the financial industry at large hasn't really, I think, caught up with the fact that change has happened and how do we react to it. So, yeah, this is trying to bring back those old school lessons that you were referencing. And that, as Jamie said, it's exactly helping kids connect the dots. It's such a key phrase because it does help them, have that negotiation and understand not just the value of the dollar, but actually the value of my time as it relates to a dollar. How much, time and energy do I have to exert to get that dollar or $20 or whatever it is? And then what is that actually, on the other hand, what does that buy me in the real world? It's really connecting those dots from end to end is, we believe, that to be incredibly powerful and empowering. And as James said right at the start, it's not the sort of thing that you need to be sort of stumbling through in your 20s and 30s. And you can get these lessons in from an age of sort of 5 or 6. So as you say, that's a pretty significant head start.
Look, what we might do is we'll put a shot of the site on screen in just a moment so we can have a wee look at the app. Maybe just before we do that, what might be in the minds of some is, well, how much does this cost, this app here?
So the app's free. You can sign up free on Apple or Google. Download the app in the app stores, and then once you sign up, you get a free card that comes in the post. And the idea for us is to try and keep SquareOne free. We're doing this as a way to kind of empower a whole generation of Kiwis to be better with money. And as soon as you kind of start the subscription fee on it, unfortunately, it can exclude the people that actually need access to it and need those money lessons as well. So it's possible that in the future we might add a premium tier or a way to access certain features, but certainly we want to try and kind of keep a layer of that free. And at the moment, it's completely free to download and get a card and get set up.
Well, it's pretty amazing because I know I've sort of dabbled a bit in app stuff. Just getting your fees, getting it onto the various platforms, not to mention all the hours of code to make it work. And then every time there's a new update released, right, on the major platforms, it usually breaks something. So to those that are not aware, that means there's a huge amount has gone in behind the scenes here. And it's just very nice to see people who are investing in the community, as it were. So that's awesome, guys. Let's just get this up on screen. All right, so here we go with the SquareOne website up here. Want your kids to be great with money, download the app, and so we get a picture of what that looks like there on screen. It mentions here a cashless world. So does this mean that you're sort of anti-cash? So could you just tell us what's the feeling there?
Certainly we're definitely not anti-cash at all. We grew up and that's how we all learned about money. And as Jovan was talking about before, that was a very real way to kind of handle money and figure out how it all worked. We just, the fact of the matter is at the moment, New Zealand is a largely cashless society. Personally, I've had a $5 note kind of crumpled up in my wallet for about the last 6 months that I haven't used. And, we built this app largely for our own kids and the frustrations that we had with trying to pay them regular pocket money, even simple things like tooth fairy. I had to go the last time one of my kids' teeth fell out. I had to go and take $2 out of their piggy bank and put it under their pillow because they didn't have any cash anywhere in the house. And I think Jovan's left a tooth fairy IOU in the past. We don't have cash in the house, so it either means you miss pocket money payments or kids don't do it, or you just don't bother to do it. And then even when you do give them cash, that's quite difficult to sit down and then go through, teaching them having a chore chart on the fridge, trying to keep up with where the money's come from, where it's going. This is a really easy way to have a chore tracker for the kids to kind of itemize what they're saving for and to have individual saving goals, to see where they've spent, and also kind of bringing them into the 21st century in terms of, I've got a fully contactless MasterCard, so it works anywhere the MasterCard's accepted. They can use PayWaves, they can use Apple, Google Pay, and kids these days, parents get their kids' phones at different ages, but you're seeing kids start getting mobile phones. intermediate school or kind of age 10 plus. So, they have devices that they can put the app on, and they're going to, it's a generation of digital natives. It's a world that they're going into. So, yeah, we're not anti-cash at all.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good. That kind of makes sense. Now, you mentioned the whole pay wave thing there. Does that mean, is this, some could say, well, you're not teaching about money, you're teaching about credit cards. How would you respond to that objection?
Yeah, it's another interesting question. And again, the intention is not to be anti-cash or to be pushing something like a credit card. This is really about helping get these lessons in earlier, because this is the world that they're going to be coming into. It is a fully featured card. So at the moment, if you were to approach one of the traditional banks, what you can get under the age of 16 is a mag stripe EFTPOS card. So you need to swipe it, and it's quite limited in terms of the use. It's not contactless. It can't be used for online, for example. And I know, for example, with my own daughter, trying to get her up and running with a traditional bank account, it means a couple of afternoons off work, go back home and get your wife's passport and then get yours and then take it to the Justice of the Peace. And it was really quite a shambles. But coming back to the card for a minute, what was on offer there was a basic mag stripe card, and instead of having any personalisation with the customer's name on it, it just says card holder. And I think that sort of speaks to the level of interest, I guess, in the customer experience. And then the internet banking experience that was offered to that child at the age of 10 was the same internet banking interface that I have, which you just about need a finance degree to operate. It's pretty clunky. There's 1,000 menu options, and through the eyes of a 10-year-old looking at this, it's just absolutely impenetrable waffle. What does managed international payees mean? Getting into those sort of questions. So it was really apparent that there's just nothing for them, and basically we expect our kids to be shielded from this sort of stuff, and then you're going to 17, 18, whatever age it is, finish school, leave home, and off you go into the work life. Best of luck to you, because you're going to get hit hard with all of these lessons when all you've seen throughout your childhood is mum and dad, just as Jamie referred to it, pretty much a magic wand. You only tap the card, and the kids, you never have cash, so do you just buy stuff for your kids, and they never get to experience that feeling of making a transaction or earning money for themselves, and then the feeling of spending something and gaining the appreciation for the value of the time. There's just a million lessons that are wrapped into that, even down to things like delayed gratification and negotiation skills for kids. There's so much in that. So yeah, it is a humble, simple thing. It's a card. Important to know it's not a credit card. You don't go into any sort of debt with it. They can only spend what they have. And yeah, they will make mistakes. That's also a huge part of learning. There's buyer's remorse, and you can either learn that on a $10 Lego set or a 20% interest rate on a bad car loan, 25. As some of us here have experienced.
That's a good point, actually. Like, some of the lessons to be learned are negative lessons. I didn't think about that, but they'll help you through life. Oh, I got burnt there. I don't want to do that again.
Absolutely. And a key thing, like this has been built with the parents' lens on it, and in consultation as well with people that are well experienced in youth development psychology and those kind of areas. And it has been built with that lens. So it's really about there is the ability for kids to experience money in a real world context, but mum or dad or whoever the caregiver is setting the parameters of that sandbox, and with a view over everything, to be there and kind of guide that journey.
Okay. And look, I guess just thinking, hearing your comments, there's a lot of financial instruments which can be very useful, and sometimes not having learnt those skills, people don't use them, i.e., I never use a credit card. Well, you could be getting some really good points off your credit card and, free travel and free accommodation things. But if you don't even, you're too scared to use those, you're kind of cutting off something which actually could help you manage things. So I like that idea of a safe sandbox, as you said, to play in that's supervised. I guess talking about safety, one thing that comes to mind, actually I'll just mention before I get there, because as you heard earlier, folks, that the app's free, so there's no financial interest or commercial reason here for us to be chatting to them. Just we thought that and so what a great product. Here we are trying to help the parents, but what can parents do to help their children? And schools, as has been commented on, they're just not resourced to be able to do that. And the banks, they're not interested. They're making $1 billion each year, but just not interested per bank. Yeah, anyway, go figure. So, getting past that, what about the safety of the data? Because it's a big thing. Maybe I guess some personal information. Any comments that parents might think, what about that identity theft, yada yada?
Yeah, great question. And the data is super secure. We're a PCI level 1 company, which is the highest level of payment security. Any funds deposited with SquareOne are held in a tier 1 bank in New Zealand, so there's no risk to the funds. They're all held in a trust account, super secure. And we're very, very protective of the data. We appreciate that parents are signing their kids up. They're giving us their data. They're giving us their kids' data. That's all held super securely. On the card front, it's actually, I've got one here, but front and the back of the card have no card details on them. So actually, this is the first time in Asia Pacific actually that cards have been issued kind of blank front and back. And that means that if a kid loses their card, which they're kind of prone to do, or there's any kind of bullying situation, the card gets taken, there's no way that someone can take this and shop online with it. The payway is still active, but again, another important feature is that as soon as someone uses the card, the parent gets a push notification on the app to say, they've spent X amount at this merchant. So if the parent sees anything strange happening on the card, they can just instantly block it, and it can't be used anymore. So we've got a bunch of features in there which are kind of specifically focused on security and making sure the parents have full control of the card and the app.
Wow, nice. I like that. Mum and dad get a bing on their app. Yeah, so that's great. Wow. Look, I mean, it sounds like a really cool idea and something that you can experiment a bit with. I guess, if folks are a little bit unsure, they can put some smaller quantities in and just take baby steps, right? And see how they go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, as you say.
Yeah, 100%. It's worth mentioning as well. This is, at the end of the day, it's a MasterCard as well. It's a SquareOne MasterCard. And, that partnership definitely brings a lot of quality and security to what we've done here.
Yeah, and a bit of cred too, isn't it? Because obviously, the large companies are only going to partner with somebody that they think is legit in quality and is not going to be detracting from their product. So I didn't know that. That's good to hear. That also is a little, okay, yep, all right. It might have been thought up in the backyard, but it's not cooked up in the backyard, and there is quite a difference.
Yeah, nice one. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was 2 years ago that we sort of first started coming up with the idea, and as you referenced earlier, a heck of a lot of work needs to go into it. We've been fortunate to be supported by a really great portion of the New Zealand investment community. So we've done a seed raise middle of last year, which is what enabled us to launch and get into the market and to make this free for those first 30,000 customers. And with this 7-year MasterCard partnership, again, it's just a massive global household brand. And like I say, it's that's definitely a big win to the partnership like that.
Well, look, thank you both for obviously all the countless hours of work that have gone on behind the scenes. It's a really cool thing, and really appreciate you coming on today as well, just so we can hear a bit about this. It sounds like a product which could be, or an app which could be super useful for parents to help their kids, and I guess start getting them set up with some important aspects for their long-term future as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having us on, Gareth. It was great to chat.
Yeah, very good. All right. Well, we watch with interest. We look forward to seeing where the app goes. But again, thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you.